Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. And John here from Wild Boar Cycling. Hey, today I've got something really cool. You know how Brian and I are big fans of the Silca system and Silca products. Well, I happened to purchase one of their Silca systems, chain wax systems, here when it was on sale. So I'm going to do a little compare and contrast because I've been doing this now for a while, and I've been using my trusty crock pot that came from a thrift shop. So I'm gonna just hook this all up and just let you know what I think. If it's worth it, we'll find out too. I'm gonna use the Silca Chain Blend along with the Endurance chip. All right, sit back and enjoy. All right, the Silca Waxing System. I'm going to open this guy up and just see what comes in here and give it a go today on my one of my Hondas. This is the bike that I use kind of in the winter time. I call it my sloppy sled. But I looked at it today. I haven't ridden in a while and it needs some TLC. Super packaging as you would expect from Silca. I'm going to take out the parts here and see how this is organized. There we go. Wow, this is really nice. It's really quite compact compared to the crock pot that I've been using. Looks like the drying rack. And the other drying rack. Let me put this together. Well, it looks like I got it all assembled. That was relatively painless. The only thing I had to do was connect these two metal plates, and they gave you a screw that just simply goes together with a Phillips screwdriver. And this is the wire that attaches to your chain, so you can actually dip it down into the wax. Now, I can tell already, wow, this takes up a whole lot less room on my toolbox, or I'm sorry, my tool bench, than my crock pot did, and we're gonna have to see how long it takes it to heat up and get ready to put some chain in there. So one thing I've noticed already in this, with the new system pot, is that I only used probably about a half of the Silca Chain Blend bag of this. It seems like there's not as much space in here as my monster crock pot. And I've also put in the Endurance chip. The instructions say to leave a 20mm gap on the top. It looks like it'll work for one chain, but sometimes I drop two of them in there, and maybe this might not going to work for that. So I turned it on. It's already set to 75 degrees Celsius. So let's see how long it takes to get the wax all melted, and we'll come back in a few minutes. So I'll keep track of the amount of time, and then we'll compare that to what it takes me in the crock pot. And if I do it in the crock pot, wow, it takes me almost an hour or so to heat everything up to get it all liquid. Let's see how this works. Okay, so folks, I've had this on for over an hour now, and I lost my patience setting it at 75. So I went ahead and cranked it up to 125, and now it's all melted. So I'm going to drop it back down to 75. Which is the temperature you want to be using when you put your wax in. So here it is, the speed ship is all in place. So I'm going to use this little handy, you can see the cable that runs through the chain here. I'm just going to drop it down into the wax, and we'll see how this fits in here. Now, if you notice the bubbles coming out, that's exactly what we should be seeing. That's a good sign. I'm going to shake it around in there. You know, Silca's saying leave it in here for about 10 minutes or so and shaking it every now and again. So I'll continue to do that. A lot of bubbles coming out. And the bubbles indicate that the wax is actually going in between the rollers, and that's what we want to see. So I'm going to leave that sitting there. I'm dropping the temperature down. It's 96 now. It's dropping quickly. So we want to get it down to about 75. And then we're going to need to as soon as those bubbles stop, we're going to pick it up and let it cool off and see what that looks like. Kind of like this little handle. Before I was using, you might see them hanging back here in the back, I was using one of these bent spokes to fish my chain in and out of the hot wax before. That's with my crock pot. I think that if I had turned up the heat, it would have heated up a little more quickly. So I'm going to keep on going here until the bubbles stop and it gets down to that sweet spot, that 75 degrees. It looks like I'm watching the counter here now. It's down about 86. And then I'll turn it off and we'll take it on out. See, as I'm agitating it here, I don't see any more bubbles coming off the chain. Those ones there along the side are the ones from before. Now, previously when I've used my crock pot, I didn't have this temperature gauge, so I really didn't know when it cooled off enough to be able to pull the chain out. So I'm kind of liking that particular feature here. And we'll see, because before I was using the crock pot, I'd waited till it skimmed over a little bit, and that was a little messy at times. Okay, it's met the down to 75 degrees Celsius, and now I'm just going to simply lift that chain out using the cable and let it come out and drip off with the cool little hanger that came with the system. And I can really tell that I'm going to like that particular feature, because I always felt like before I was picking it up and walking out and then having it drip over the sidewalk or some other place. So yeah, so let me, I'm going to turn this off now and let it cool, and then we'll be putting it on the bike. Well, folks, there you have it. That's my first use of the system from Silca, the chain waxing system. Oh, some things that I really like about it, you know, I did not have to use a full bag of the secret chain blend. My crock pot, I always felt like I had to add a little bit more. And I think it just by turning that up a little bit, and I read deeper into the instructions, when you put those endurance and speed chips in, you need to raise that temperature just a little bit in order to get them to melt completely. Once I did that, poof, didn't have any problem at all. A couple things I really liked about it. I really like the drip catch system here with a little cable that goes around it. And I also really like, you know, a lot of what I was doing before was guesswork. You know, I'm looking for that skim to kind of note when it got down to 75 degrees, but here with the temperature built in and the regulator, wow, I can really dial in what I'm doing. So, one footnote, I've used this endurance chip. I used it on my checkpoint last summer when I raced at Steamboat. Wow, I had that bike out on the road for well over 7 weeks, and it didn't miss a beat. I didn't feel like I needed to re-wax a chain. About halfway through, I used some of the drip sauce, and it worked just great. Well, I hope that was helpful, and remember that we're not sponsored by Silca. This is me getting something I thought would be cool. It doesn't take up as much room on my workbench either, and I hope it was helpful for y'all. So in the meantime, hit that like, subscribe, and notify so you know when our next productions come available. It'll probably be next Sunday or something like that. And in the meantime, go out and ride and have some fun. And of course, keep the rubber side down. Bye, y'all.